Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. Thanks for tuning in. You guys, we need to talk about Dame Lillard. Is it time he finally leaves the Trailblazers? After that game last night, I am just ready to see him actually winning a ring. Also, we're talking about LeBron James and his comments about the Lakers' performance last night. It was hard to watch, to say the least. Before we dive in, subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
I can't say it's a good morning, but morning, everybody. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on all things social media at JRay the Fanatic. My whole heart hurts right now. I can't say that I'm surprised, but my whole heart hurts right now.
My heart hurts too, and I'm not quite ready to say rest in peace to the Lakers yet, but we're getting there, and it is extremely upsetting. We're going to talk about that. We have a lot of updates coming up about LeBron, about some criticism that he's receiving for something that he did in the game last night. But yeah, it's a tough day for Laker Nation, that's for sure. Jackie, besides the disappointing loss yesterday, how are you feeling this morning? Everything good?
Except for the fact that it's 82 degrees in my apartment. Yeah, everything is good. My AC doesn't work, you guys. We were talking about that. So, yeah, that's my life right now. So I'm just gonna be on fire today.
Maybe you can transfer some of that heat to the Lakers for their next game, because that's what we need. We need them to be a little bit more on fire.
Yes.
You know, Jackie, I have lived in apartments that didn't have AC, so you're lucky that you at least will have the option once they fix your AC unit. But sometimes what I would do in the live shows when I was burning up was just put like an ice pack on my back or on my lap just to cool me down a little bit, because with the hot lights that we have and then also being in a hot room, it can get very sweltering. So that's my tip for you.
I need some kind of tip because damn.
Yeah. You know, I already gave you my other one, which is a secret. You can't share that one with anybody. We talked about that before the show.
Okay, let's. Then Master in the chat says, Jackie, are you okay? No, I am not. And I appreciate your concern. I am not okay. I am faking it. But no, I am not okay.
Yeah, neither of us are okay, actually. Pretty much nobody on our whole entire team here is okay this morning. But let's talk about Dame, because we need to discuss if Dame's doing okay. And the big question is, does he need to leave Portland? So in last night's game, he finished with 55 points. He became the first player in NBA playoff history to score that many points with double-digit assists. He also hit an NBA playoff record 12 threes. He made 17 of 24 shots, 12 of 17 threes, and 9 of 10 free throws. He also had a steal, 3 blocks, and 1 turnover in 51 minutes of playing time. But despite his performance, the Nuggets walked away with the win. It was 147-140, and so now the series is at 3-2. We have a bunch of reactions that we're going to show you right now from NBA athletes across the league. Everybody is talking about the stellar performance that Dame put on last night. So let's get to the first one. Leo, can you toss that up there? This is from KD. He says, I had like 4 tweets I wanted to write to describe this masterpiece by Damian. Oh, is it Lamonte or Lamont Ollie Lillard Sr. But I'm seriously at a loss for words. And then he had another tweet coming up here that says God mode. And then another tweet that says, this is a spiritual experience. So he obviously was quite impressed with everything that went down. Steph Curry also had a tweet that Leo's going to pop up there saying, Dame Lillard, that's all I have to say. We have another tweet coming up from Draymond Green that says, Dalla, somebody tell my guy Malone Dame can beat you. And then another one that says from Donovan Mitchell that says, wow. And then I think there's one more. Yeah, John Morant says, WTF Dame. And I'm pretty sure, oh no, Damian Lee says, someone got to put this Dame Dollar performance in the Louvre. This is a masterpiece. And it truly was a masterpiece. It's honestly a little difficult to watch because he can put on these amazing performances, and yet his chances of walking away with any sort of significant hardware for all of the efforts that he's put in it's just not there. There's very little chance of that even happening. He's one of the few players in the league who is always reliable in the clutch. He has this great reputation. He is such an aggressive and strong athlete, and he clearly has made an indelible impact on the NBA. But he doesn't have a ring. That's wild to me. So in 7 postseason runs before this year, Dame and the Blazers lost to the eventual conference or NBA champion 5 times. So they go up against, the toughest competitors, of course. But is it time that he starts to consider what his options are? Does he need to force management to swing some, super deals to get another star alongside him so that he actually does have this shot at taking home a finals win? And if that is what he needs, if he is, still looking to walk away with a ring, I feel like he's absolutely in his right to ask for that kind of, move to come from management. But I don't know. For me, I think that it's time that his career mounted to more than just these great games, this great reputation. I would like to see him take home a win. He can have these record-breaking nights, but if the team still loses and he doesn't have the finals win to kind of commemorate all that hard work and all that effort that he's put in, it just doesn't feel as impactful. And I don't want that to be Dame's legacy. So the question here is, does he need to win a ring to solidify his reputation, Jackie?
No, not to solidify his reputation, not at all. His reputation is solid. Like everyone said, his performances are straight up masterpieces. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take away from what this man is doing. But there's a lot of things that I saw in that game that, well, one thing in particular, because, they went to double overtime. That's crazy. I thought they were going to go to triple overtime for a second there. But there's this moment, if you guys saw the game, it was in the fourth quarter. I think maybe there was a minute and something left. CJ is standing at the side, by the sideline, right? He gets the pass. CJ knows damn well he's on the sideline, and he steps out of bounds, and they turn over the ball. It's that kind of lack of. Dame has this amazing awareness of where he's at on the court, where his teammates are at on the court. That's kind of what you expect from a guy like Dame Lillard, right? So he's always aware. So to be in that moment where you have a chance, and that's just one example. We could literally do a compilation tape of people not being as aware where they are in that situation or just bumbling it, and then Dame has to step in. But when you only have like a minute and something left, Dame can't step in and save you. Hell, I scored 55 points. Y'all need to step in and do this, So when CJ stepped out at that moment, and he stepped out. I don't even know why they had to review that, but he was like out. It frustrated me because I was like, I can't imagine how it feels to have 55 points. You're breaking this record. Everyone is paying attention to you and what you're doing. And then your teammate doesn't even know where he's at on the court. He's killed your opportunity to actually win this game. How frustrating is that? And so for Dame to have that kind of frustration time and time again, and he wants to stay, it's very odd to me. I don't understand that mindset. Like I said before, when you're a kid and you're dreaming about this, you dream about making it to the NBA and winning a championship. Sure, making it to the NBA is very, very hard. It's like 1% of college kids actually make it to the NBA, and then even less of them have like a super successful or superstar type of career. So you have fulfilled the dream, but finish the dream. There's no reason, when you have Dame Lillard on your team, you should be an automatic contender for the finals, period. You just should be. But because he doesn't have the supporting cast, and this is what I tell people all the time, this is a team sport. So as much as I know that people don't like what the Nets did, that's smart basketball. Giving your team the best chance to win with guys who want to go out there and win it with the same level of intensity that you do is what you need. We didn't even score, and the Lakers didn't even score in the second. Was it the second quarter? Something like one of them quarters we didn't even score. I stopped watching it very, very early. But that's never going to be a thing when you have Damian Lillard. And there's been quarters where Damian Lillard's been the only person that scored. But that's a burden that you just don't want to carry. But if you airlift Dame several teams, like let's just be realistic. If you airlift him to the Wizards look different, right? If you airlift him to the Lakers, we probably sweep the Suns. his presence changes everything for that team. And he needs to know that, and he needs to know that the ownership of his team either needs to step up and get him somebody else, or he needs to peace out. I'm tired of seeing him do this and it means nothing. He got to peace out. I hope that if he really wants to stay, if that's his heart desire, I hope that they bring somebody in. But if they don't, he needs to call it.
I mean, I feel the same exact way. I think that it is frustrating to watch these games, these 55-point games, these record-breaking nights. Just a player with this kind of intensity never amount to anything more than these singular one-off nights, or even a great season, but it ultimately doesn't amount to anything. Not a Western Conference Finals win or a finals win. So it's just tough to watch somebody like Dame time and time and time again go out and have these stellar nights without really walking away with the thing that we want him to have the most. Do you feel like...
I saw somebody in the chat said, oh, it was a bad pass from Dame. I don't care. Don't take that step back. You know you're on the sideline. That's number one. Number two, somebody else in the chat, y'all turned up in the chat today, so I'm sorry that I'm not seeing your names because y'all going fast. But somebody else in the chat says CJ be balling out too, though. Not at the same time, and that's the problem. That's the thing. It's like he has these moments, and he's way better than Kyle Kuzma, so it's not like I'm comparing him to Kyle Kuzma, but Kyle Kuzma will do that. Kyle Kuzma will have these big games, and you'll be like, okay, we're good. And then he'll come back out goose egg. Like, it's just, I need you to fire on all cylinders all the time. You don't have to do these 55-point nights all the time, but you do need to be in double digits all the time. You do need to be a strong helpmate to me. Somebody else said a good trio would be LeBron, AD, and Dame. AD has health issues. That boy, Charles Barkley called him street clothes because he's always on the sideline in his street clothes because he's always hurt. We got to figure out how to keep AD healthy before we really start talking about that. But literally, Dame anywhere else, it's a different story for that team immediately. Could you imagine how bad things would have looked for us last night if Dame was on the Phoenix Suns? I would have told him to go home at halftime. Damn, leaving early. Everybody leave at halftime. This is over. We're done. We're going home. We forfeit. We out.
I mean, you're right. Dame's presence really does elevate the team. It gives any team an added edge. I think a healthy AD, LeBron, and Dame would look great together. That's the kind of trio I would 1,000% want to see. But it just doesn't seem like Dame is motivated enough to leave. It seems like in a way he has Russell Westbrook's mentality where Russ said, I'm already a champion. And, winning a ring is going to be an added bonus. And I respect that coming from Russ, but for some reason with Dame, it feels different. Maybe because Dame has never really said anything like that. He seems comfortable in Portland. His family is there. He probably is really enjoying the lifestyle that he lives. And maybe the motivation and the desire to become a finals champion is not strong enough for him. And I don't really understand why that would be. Jackie, what is your take on that? Do you think he just really doesn't care that much about becoming a champion?
I think, and this isn't anything that you really want to succeed in. You have to get out of your comfort zone. That's no matter what you're doing, anything you're trying to succeed in life, you have to get out of your comfort zone, and you have to do something that's a little bit hard for you to do. I think, and I've said this time and time again, just from seeing his family life and seeing interviews he's done and the music he's making, he's happy. He's a genuinely happy person. He genuinely loves his life. I feel like he loves where he lives. His family's happy there. They've got roots there. And that's a dream too, don't get me wrong. Having a dream of being someplace that you love to be. Look, I've lived in the worst places of my life. This is the first apartment that I've ever had in my entire life that I actually wanted to have and didn't move in, A, because I was working there, or B, because it was the only thing I could afford. So there's a level of comfort there, and then once you have that, once your family's happy and thriving and you're thriving, your kids are in school and they're happy, you love your house, you love your neighbors, you got this team, the upper management you actually get along with. When you're genuinely happy, I think that means a lot to him. I think it means more than risking that happiness. He's definitely not going to uproot his family. I can tell you that right now. And that's probably a thought process for him. His thought process is, okay, if I go to another team, my family's going to stay here because this is where we want to be. We've already decided this is our final stomping ground. So I'm not going to relocate my family. I think his closeness to his family is his rock. now that means he's playing somewhere else without his family. You know what I mean? So I think he's just too comfortable. And I would say that, again, anything you really want to succeed in, you got to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And I think he needs to be uncomfortable very quickly if he really wants this ring.
Right, or he needs to just become a lot more forceful with management and make stronger and, bigger demands. If he really does want to stay in Portland and he's not ready to go, then he needs to kind of step up and force something to happen. But yeah, I mean, this loss is pretty devastating for the Trailblazers, not only because it was such a great night for Dame, but also because it's a playoff loss. And it means so much more. The weight is way heavier for them. So it's just all around a big disappointment. But let's move on. We have to talk about LeBron James, who also was very disappointed, just like we are over here. And then JD in the chat also was like, Devin, you're wishful thinking. The Lakers look terrible. Yes, JD, we know. We know. Okay, you don't have to rub it in. It hurts.
We started with that. Like, we looked awful. It was next level awful. Next level awful.
It really was. It was extremely upsetting. So LeBron got very honest about the game last night. Right now, the Lakers are on the brink of a first-round elimination. The game last night against the Suns, the final score was 115-85. That is a blowout loss. And of course, LeBron was not that thrilled with his team's performance. He said, quote, "We got our ass kicked. It's just that simple. They got whatever they wanted to get in this game. We got to be better, obviously, if we want to force a game 7. He went on to say, I mean, it's literally win or go home at that point. So you shoot all the bullets you got and throw the gun too. I look forward to the environment. Obviously, our Laker faithful are going to give us a lot of energy, and I look forward to the moment, look forward to the challenge, and we'll see if it brings out the best in me and my teammates." So, Jackie, that means we have to step up to the plate and give them the energy that they need, because apparently they're relying on Laker faithful to get them there instead of the talent on the court. Is there still any hope for the Lakers, or is it truly the end of the series for them?
I mean, based on what I saw last night, I'm going to say it's the end of the series. I'm just going to call it right now. And there's I like what Draymond had to say. Side note, I love Draymond as a commentator. He's excellent. He's very good at what he does. But he said exactly what I was thinking, minus all the curse words that I was doing. But in that halftime report, he said it. LeBron did exactly what I even said on another podcast I was on. I was like, he's got to be the facilitator of the game, because the last game he scored 25 points. No one else really scored. AD went out in the second quarter of that game and damn near was like 2 baskets away one field goal away from being tied with everybody else in the starters. I think outside of LeBron, our starters had 8 points. You know what I mean? So it was just a trash performance. So I was like, all right, he knows. And he said it himself. If I'm 100% healthy, I have total faith in us. LeBron, you're not 100% healthy. You know what I mean? You're still nursing this high ankle sprain, and it's obvious on several plays that you're not 100%. It's very obvious. I appreciate you're trying to cover it up. I even saw him one time, hit himself in the head because he missed an easy layup. And that's one of those things that you're still nursing that injury. You're not 100%. So what's the plan if you're not 100% healthy? You said if you were 100% healthy, we're good. You're not 100% healthy. What is the plan B? I think he tried to execute the plan B, which is, okay, if I go out here and score 25 points, I can't have my starters in single digits. We're not going to win that way. So he did go out and he did try to pass the ball a lot more, but then nobody scored. So then he tried to take it over. And by the time he tried to take it over, I think it was a little too late, to be honest with you, because now I saw a lot of desperation in the way that he was playing. It was just desperate, because I think he realized, all right, I'm going to have to do this by myself. And I think understanding this is not 2016 LeBron, 31-year-old LeBron saying to himself, oh, I have to take this game over, is different than 36 knocking on 37-year-old LeBron saying it's different. You need some help. Nobody outside of him, not one of our starters were in double digits, not one. Markieff had 4 points. Andre had 7 points. Somebody needs to give KCP his walking papers. That man has been so trash for the last 2 months. Goose egg for KCP. Dennis, goose egg. Gasol, 5 points. Caruso, 5 points. Kyle Kuzma had 15 points, and that was probably the highlight of anyone else that wasn't named LeBron. This is a team sport. How do you make that make sense? How do you have your starters putting up goose eggs? How do you have Kyle Kuzma not realizing his moment and saying, let me go off? You know what I mean? Dennis, the first 2 games, 25 points the first game, 24 points the second game, and has been missing in action ever since then. This is an impossible situation, and I don't see these guys. I didn't see the urgency in anyone on that court that wasn't named LeBron. I did not see it. I didn't see anyone make a self-correct. I didn't see any adjustments at halftime. I feel like they came out in the second half worse than what they did in the first. Well, maybe not, because they only scored 10 points in the second quarter, so maybe not. But they just looked worse to me. They looked already defeated. They didn't. So if based on what I saw last night, I don't think there's a shot in hell. Not a shot in hell.
I'm hoping this game was the wake-up call that they all needed to regain that sense of urgency, because I agree with you. Watching them last night, they lacked that fire. They lacked the intensity and the motivation that you really need at this stage in the game, and LeBron was not getting the support that he needed from the lineup. LeBron himself also just didn't look the same, which I think is to be expected in a slight way, because he is 36. He did get injured this season, so there's a lot kind of working against him here. But yeah, he just didn't look the same, and the Lakers were super disappointing. A lot of people are saying this Lakers team would never hold up against the Nets, and they may have been able, and I agree with that, because the Nets are working like this well-oiled machine with 3 superstars. It's just like, I understand that.
Let me also say Frank Vogel is trash. Let me be clear on that. This is a top to bottom trash fest. Frank Vogel is trash. He doesn't know what he wants to do between Gasol and Andre Drummond. He has no idea what to do with that. He's failed completely at coaching up Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma is still the same guy that looked like he just want to be a TikTok star or something like that. He's terrible. He just doesn't have the consistency for me. Who is in charge of KCP? Because you should have been fired months ago. Whose job is KCP? This is terrible. It's not working. Dennis, I'm the most disappointed with. As much as I can say everyone kind of disappointed me last night, Dennis, I'm the most disappointed with, because I really expected Dennis to be all that I expected him to be, and then he's holding out for because he's trying to we know he passed up that contract here in LA. When you do something like that, you do that because you think that you're worth more than that. What it was, like $80 million or something like that. They was trying to, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, I think it was like $80 million. They was trying to give Dennis. He passed up on that. The reason you pass up on that is because you think you're worth $90 or $100 million. So that means that this is your prove it year. This is the year you go out and you show the world, hey, run me my money, because I'm that dope. I deserve that money. Give me my money. I would not give Dennis right now $300,000. I wouldn't do it. So he's not proven that he's worth that big contract that he really wants. He's the one that I am most disappointed in right now.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. We're running a little bit low on time, but I did want to talk about one final thing here, because we have heard time and time again that the Lakers championship win last season is a Mickey Mouse ring. It doesn't mean as much because the bubble is easier, blah, blah, blah. What does the bubble was easier narrative look like now, if now the Heat are gone in the first round of the playoffs and the Lakers are gone in the first round of the playoffs? What's your take on all of that?
I still stand on the same place I was. That bubble thing was mentally taxing to everybody involved. It just was. It was mentally taxing for us as fans. So for them to overcome that, I think that's one thing. One of the things I do think I've seen is there's definitely a shift. I think teams like the Phoenix Suns have stepped up a lot when fans came back into the stands. Other teams, it seems like they're just kind of used to this, I can hear everything, I know what's going on, and they've kind of faltered a little bit. So I definitely still am not going to give it a Mickey Mouse ring. I think people who are calling it a Mickey Mouse ring have never played basketball. They don't know the mental anguish that goes into that, or if they did play basketball, they weren't that good at it. But I don't think you can't call anybody having a total shift. The world looked like it was falling apart. Literally, everybody was worried about everything. The economy was tanking. Players still have to deal with the same things that we had to deal with and go out and play ball. I think that one was harder to me This one was the bubble was harder. Coming back into this situation where you're hurt and now, because I've said it several times too, you need a healthy AD, you need a healthy LeBron, and then seeing that AD's ability to stay healthy is not a strong ability, that's not something he's mastered yet. And then LeBron is 36. That's just life. You get older, and when you get older, things get harder. So they're in a different situation. They're not firing on all cylinders, and it just is what it is. But I definitely think that people who call it a Mickey Mouse ring are just people, again, have never played a competitive sport in their life, or if they were, they weren't that good at it.
Yeah, and you know how I feel about that Mickey Mouse ring statement as well. I think it's ridiculous. There were so many challenges to overcome. And I just think that watching the Lakers potentially get eliminated in the first round and the Heat get eliminated, it just shows that the competition stepped up. The opposing team stepped up, and people get their energy and their focus from a variety of different things. For somebody like Jimmy Butler, having nothing else to focus on but basketball is the way for him to really get his head in the game. For other people, it's the for other teams, it's the fans. So people derive their energy, their motivation from different sources. But you guys, that wraps up Need to Know News. So let's get into the post up because there's a lot to get to.
Yes, let's get into it. First up is the moment in time that I actually did not see, because I had left that game and switched over to the Denver game way earlier. So LeBron left the game early. If you guys didn't see it, I didn't see it. So let's watch it together. Let's check this out when LeBron's leaving with 5 minutes to play, and we are down by 30 points.
Team with the Phoenix Suns there goes LeBron walking off the floor with 5:40 to go. Raps to get three.
And so people got mad at that. I did not get mad at that. Of course, like I said, I didn't see it because I wasn't watching the game at that point. I had packed in at the end of the third. So I didn't see it. But I'm not mad at that. This is a lot to deal with when you're down by 30 points. And you can't score 30 points by yourself in 5 minutes. I wasn't mad at it at all. Of course, let me be clear. I had told everyone to go home at halftime. I was like, just send Frank Vogel out there and tell him we out. But, so that's just me. But, of course, Twitter had something to say about it, as per usual. And this guy said, this is why I can't rock with y'all boy. I don't discount what he's done, but LeBron fans want you to forget when he does stuff like this. I just can't do it. Everything counts. It doesn't. Those last 5 minutes didn't mean a damn thing, whether he was out there or not. Because technically, if you're smart and you're Frank Vogel and he's got this aggravating injury, you don't play him. You know what I mean? You let him sit because that game is a wash. That game is over. And if I'm LeBron, I don't want to sit there and watch us lose like that either. Somebody in the chat said he's a sore loser. Call it what you want. Like, I'm with you on this one, LeBron, because I would have been left. And then there's some people on Twitter who definitely agree, or I wouldn't say agree, but at least understand. It says he's down 30. I'd leave too. I don't give a F what you guys think on Twitter. Get a head start on treatment. I'm with that as well. But then another user says, if Kuzma did this, you wouldn't be saying that. You're damn right. Kuzma scored 15 points this game. And the game before that, he put up a goose egg. You gonna sit here and you gonna take it, sir. No, it's not the same thing. It's not the same comparison. Good try, though. But Devin, what do you think about this? I personally don't care. I would have walked too.
Jackie, I disagree with you. I think that for the optics, and because we knew people would have a field day watching LeBron leave with 5 minutes left in the game, I think he should have stayed. I understand why he wanted to leave. I understand why Frank Vogel gave him the okay. In fact, Frank, after the game, said that it was because he had to get to his treatment to prepare for Game 6. I understand treatment. We love that LeBron takes such good care of his body, and he devotes so much time and attention to making sure that he is in the healthiest and best shape possible. But 5 minutes, he could have stayed. He should have stayed just to avoid the media backlash. We knew this would happen. So I just think that for LeBron's sake, for the Lakers' sake, so that he doesn't get called a sore loser, so people don't have a reason to drag him, stick around for the 5 minutes.
But the funny thing is people in the chat says Michael Jordan would never. Michael Jordan did, though. I can't say it's 5 minutes, but Michael Jordan did leave a game early. KD has left a game early. So you guys are saying that, players wouldn't. Michael Jordan did. So maybe go back and rewatch some stuff, but Michael Jordan did. So good try again. But what we're not going to do is pretend that Jordan wouldn't do this exact thing because he did. So that's that with that part. But Snoop Dogg has got to be the biggest. While I'm probably one of the biggest LeBron James fans on the planet, Snoop Dogg is probably the biggest Laker fan ever created in all times. Snoop Dogg will get on his Twitter and cuss you out if you talk about the Lakers. So this tweet from Snoop Dogg is, I can't say it's surprising because he's also an honest Laker fan. He's never been, an over the top. He made allowances when the Kobe thing happened too. So he says, never thought I'd say it, but we are sorry, and the Clippers better than us. Frank Vogel can't coach. Thank you, Snoop. Thank you. Frank Vogel can't coach. And why the F is Montrezl Harrell ain't got no run? F this heartbreaking. AD hurt more than Mary J. Blige records. We soft. If y'all don't know Mary J. Blige records, just play one because it's hard. Track 1 is a heartbreak. Maybe about track 5, she gets a little happy. And then the rest of the tracks is heartbreak. So that's how AD is. He got one shining moment and then heartbreak. I think that's totally true. But this one Twitter user had a statement kind of similar to what we were talking about. Trade for Beal, trade for Dame, trade for someone in the offseason. Yeah, I ain't got nothing else to say. You got to do something because LeBron was the only one that scored 25 points. He was the only one in the 20s. Nobody else was even close. And so we had several goose eggs. That doesn't make any sense. But let's go on to this next one because we've talked a lot about Dame as well. I would love to see Dame in LA, by the way. That would be amazing. But when you have to start praying, when you have nothing else to stop Dame except for a prayer and a wish, you that guy. And that's all Austin Rivers could do was pray that Dame fell off a little bit. Take a look at this.
Keep your eye on Austin Rivers, number 25 in blue. He was right in front of us. I saw him do that.
Okay, first of all, pray internally. Don't let the world know that you out here praying that Dame doesn't do well. Pray internally because that's hilarious to me that you just have to stop and say, "Dear God, please help us. We are dying down here." That is hilarious. But a fan said this was the same thing for her. She said this was the moment she started praying. She said, "I was at this game as a Nuggets fan. This was very important because it reminded me that Dame technically could miss and thus gave me hope." Then he went back to destroying us after that. So I guess everybody in the reading was just praying like, "God, please show us that he's immortal." This is hilarious to me. I still don't think you pray outwardly as a player. As a fan, pray all you want. But as a player, don't pray outwardly. Pray inside. Devin, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was a really funny moment to watch him like that. Like that is I know, like, don't do that. I know that's what you want to do, but don't do that. It doesn't look good for you at all. It's just funny that Dame's able to get the opposing team to actually pray, to like thank God in a game. It's just hilarious that he has that effect on people.
Yeah, and I get it because if I was playing against Dame, I would be praying too. And the thing is, like Dame, we've seen him have off nights as well. But come that fourth quarter, all of a sudden he's like, "Okay, I'm done with the off night. Let me destroy you." he's the finishing move on like one of those fighting games. Like finish him. That's who Dame is. So I understand the prayer and I approve the prayer. But I cannot wait to see what you guys think about this next one because we saw Floyd Money doing his practicing or his training on that punching bag that looked like it was winning. But now you guys know OCHOCINCO, he is going to fight Brian Maxwell. Brian Maxwell is a former track and field athlete. He's really good. I haven't seen any training videos on him yet. If I did, I would have put him in there. But let's look at what OCHOCINCO is doing and see if we feel like he has a solid shot at winning this fight. Take a look.
Watch out. Straight 2, come back quick. Go, straight 2. Straight 2, Bob on. Let's go, again. Oh. Yeah. Good. Yes. Again. Jab, quick. Double. Combo. Hey.
Okay, I can say that he follows directions very well. But aside from that, I don't know. I have to see Brian's workout video to figure out if he is good or not. Kevin Lang in the chat says he's slow. That's kind of what I thought. But I was like, maybe this is the pace that this training is supposed to go. I wasn't really sure if this is like a warm-up drill. So I didn't want to say that he was slow because we also saw Floyd Money Mayweather, and that was slow. But in case you forgot, this is supposed to happen this weekend. Is that right? So here's this tweet from Floyd Money that I think this whole fight is supposed to. Is this happening this weekend, Devin? It's June 6th, right?
Yeah, actually, that is this weekend.
Okay, so now I'm going to say he is slow because if this is happening June 6th, I don't know.
So when I saw this video as well, I thought like, okay, so he looks good. He doesn't look bad.
Right.
He does follow direction very well, but yeah, he did look a little bit slow. I don't know. It's a little bit nerve-wracking because, June 6th is coming up this weekend, but I guess I don't know. I thought the same thing is basically all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So again, I'm not going to go too hard on it because I've never trained for boxing. So I feel like some of you in the chat either have, or maybe you're huge boxing fans, but I need to know, is it possible that this is like a warm-up? Like this is just, him finding his groove, or is he really that slow? And then we should be concerned. But I don't know. We got to see. I can't wait to see. I'm not going to buy this on pay-per-view. So somebody stream it for me so I can watch it. It's pay-per-view, right?
I think it is. I haven't looked into it because I wasn't going to buy it either, but just being honest. But Kevin L. Lang says it looks like he's learning how to box. And it does. That's exactly what I actually was thinking. Because I don't know if you guys have seen on my social media, but my friend actually boxes, and he's a part owner of Mayweather boxing gyms in LA and Atlanta. So he's really, really good. And sometimes I'll go and like throw some punches with him, and he teaches me. And when I watch back the videos that I take of myself, I mean, obviously Chad looks better than I do, but it's still like kind of the same sort of pacing, I guess, where I'm learning. Like I would never want to fight anybody. I have no skill to do that. So it did seem like that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. His form looked better than I would if I put on gloves right now. Yeah. I feel like his form looked better. His where his hands are placed, I feel looked better than. But I did feel like that's why I didn't know if it was like a warm up or whatever. Kevin also says, I love boxing. They are disrespecting the sport. And I have to agree with that as well. So yeah, good luck. If somebody out there is going to stream it, send your girl a link because I shall not be paying for it. But I'll watch it if it's free and I ain't got nothing else to do. So let's move on to this next one because I feel like maybe we just need to get Kia Nurse on the Lakers. At least she got heart and she doesn't, she'll play through the very, very end. So let me let you see this clutch buzzer beater. Take a look.
Gonna let it wind. Chicago with a 2-point lead. Vandersloot looking for space. Out to Copper. Copper, the leaner, no good. Rebound, Phoenix. They're off and running. They don't take a timeout. Nurse hits. Nurse hits at the buzzer, and Phoenix wins.
That was amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Girl.
Finish in Chicago.
Look at his face like. That is the perfect freeze because okay. This is what we doing now.
I know, that was really funny. That she just like chucked it. Like she just chucked it in there. That was very, very impressive. I am with you on getting Kia Nurse to the Lakers. How do we make this happen?
I don't know. Let's do something. Call some. I mean, you could swap her and Kyle Kuzma. It'll be the same, so I'm down. But one Twitter user said that this might be the best buzzer beater I've ever seen. And then I was like, yeah, it was. But then I kind of have to agree with this user. I think there's two buzzer beaters that are the best. This one from Kawhi and that one from Dame. The one that Dame Lillard had where everyone was hugging him and Dame was just looking in the camera like with a straight face. Those are probably the two best buzzer beaters. But this is up there. This is definitely top 5 for sure. Top 5, one of the best buzzer beaters I've ever seen. I'm not mad at you. Way to go, Kia. We appreciate you. But now, look, let's do one of the best mic drops of all time in all sports ever. We talked about this a little bit yesterday about Naomi Osaka and her really dealing with her mental health issues and her not wanting to deal with the press because of that. I don't know if you guys have been following this story at all, but a lot of these people in the press have basically been destroying Naomi. And I don't like that when this woman expresses that she has some sort of mental health issue and then you decide to take it upon yourself to say disparaging things about her. I think you've got to be the lowest of the low when you do that. And so recently, they asked Serena, how do you feel? How do you deal with it? We're talking about how Naomi's dealing with her mental health and how she has to deal with the press. How did you deal with all of the negative things that people in the press had to say about you? And she's just going to drop the mic. Take a listen.
For me personally, how I deal with it was that I know every single person asking me a question can't play as well as I can and never will. So no matter what you say or what you write, you'll never light a candle to me. So that's how I deal with it. But each person deals with it differently.
I love how she's scanning the room. That's public speaking 101 though. Scan the room so it looks like you're making eye contact with everyone. And to know that the press is sitting there and she's like, no matter what you say or what you write about me, you'll never hold a candle to me. And that's how I deal with it. Mic drop. I didn't even look to see what anyone else on Twitter had to say about it because whatever you said, you don't hold a candle to Serena. Mic drop. Devin, what do you think?
I think this is the kind of advice that everybody could use. I have been in situations where I feel nervous and like I don't feel like I can talk about what I am supposed to be an expert in or whatever it is just because I'm afraid I'm being judged. But in reality, literally everybody that surrounds me knows less and can do less. So it's just, you have to have that confidence. I think that that's actually a very great reminder. And I love this. It was like queen of shade, like subtle shade in a way. I love that.
Yeah, that's Queen Serena. She has spoken. So now we will go on to this next one because you can't follow that up with nothing. When the queen speaks, you just listen. So thank you, Serena. We're going to remember that in our daily lives. Now, this next one is funny to me because I have low-key been thinking about buying a new TV, but I have a nice TV. It's 55 inches, but it's about, I don't know, maybe 8 years old. So I was like, maybe I need a new TV. Now I know I need a new TV because this has never popped up on my TV where it's going to recommend. I literally saw somebody in Denver had those Kobe Grinch shoes that I've always thought about getting. And I was like, damn, I wonder where I can get those. But now if I would have had the proper TV, I wouldn't have to wonder these kinds of things. Take a look at this.
Watching the game at the club, and it says, click to see their shoes. And I clicked, and it's giving me a list of all the shoes that niggas is wearing on the court right now.
This has never popped up on my TV. So then I thought, okay, he must have an app, right? But then I look in the Twitter feed and this happens apparently all the time. So one user said the same thing, but says this needs to be disabled when you're drinking. I agree with that because Lord knows I just get on a shopping spree. But this one, first of all, I forgot that Giannis had a tennis shoe, but this one says, asked me last week during a Bucks game to buy Giannis sneakers. And then in the bottom, you see something says click to buy Giannis sneakers in the bottom. So I just really, my TV is really that old. I've never seen this on my TV. What, is this a new TV thing? What is happening? I've never seen this.
I haven't seen it either. Jackie, I have such an old TV as well. My parents gave it to me because they didn't want to use it anymore. It stopped working for them. So they're like, here's this broken TV we'll give to you. So I have no idea how people are getting this. But honestly, do we need another reason to keep consuming so much? We already consume way too much as a society. Now we can watch TV and buy directly from the TV. I guess it's no different than like those infomercials.
Yeah, that's it.
HSN. Yeah, whatever.
That's a lot. I think Kevin said in the chat, that's too much. Nike's all on the TV or something like that. But I just need to know, so y'all got to get the Apple TV. Is that it? Is it only happening on an Apple TV? Because I'm not paying for an Apple TV.
I have like the plug-in Apple TV.
Oh, so then I think you would still get it.
My plug-in Apple TV is also like second generation. I need to update my equipment.
All right. I don't know. We'll figure it out at one point. But let's get into this very last post up for the day. because this one is amazing. Now, this is not, this woman, as far as I know, young lady, she's 17. She doesn't play sports, but damn it, she needs to, because this is insane. I want you to take a look at what's happening here. So there's a bear, and she's got her cubs there. So the dogs come to attack because there's a bear back there. So Mama Bear is trying to protect her cubs. Teenagers like, leave my dogs alone, and pushes. Look, we would have had to get new dogs. But what I'm not going to do, we can just make this a little mini. What I'm not going to do is go out there and tango with Mama Bear, protecting her cubs. No, the hell I'm not. We would have needed new dogs. We would have been at the shelter tomorrow looking for new dogs, but y'all would have got. So the news asked her why she did this, and she said because the bear looked like he was going to attack the smaller dog, which is, I guess, her mom's service dog, and she felt that she had to protect the service dog because that's her mom's, main animal. This woman needs to be in the UFC, like today, because hell no. So I don't even know, dogs or no, and I love dogs, but my dog would have been got. Let me just let you know that right now. I'm not about to tango with no bear. I love this comment from somebody in the chat that says, one thing I know is I'm not messing with this girl. She on a different level of crazy. If she willing to fight a bear, I'm not trying to mess with her. Yes, Zen Master in the chat says, if you ever see me in the forest messing with the bear, help the bear. That's that, what is that, mystical rap. Facts. This lady, okay, she's getting my whatever she wants to do, she can do it. I see you in the chat, Robert. I had the same question about the dress. Like, that is not a fight the bear dress. That is a I'm going to union dress. But shouts out to this woman. I love her for it. Devin, I know you love animals. You fighting a bear for your dog? Are you going to fight a bear for your dog?
You know what's so funny is I sent this to my mom yesterday, and I was like, oh my God, watch this video. This is wild. And I would have done the same thing, but I also, this is going to make me sound so soft, I felt bad for the bear. I hated that the bear fell over the fence and maybe rolled down a hill.
Everybody.
I know.
Everybody.
It's so stupid. It is so dumb. I can't explain it, but I was like rooting for the dogs to get away, of course. I would have done the same thing that this girl did, but I felt bad for the bear. Can't help it.
All right. Well, I actually laughed because when the bear fell over the edge, her paws was up there like, push me. I thought it was hilarious, but okay, Devin's over here feeling bad for the bear. Okay, Devin, I hear you. All right, that's what I got for the post up. So let's get into what we not gonna do. This one I don't find surprising at all because we know that there's basically the NBA. You guys remember this? They basically tried to create a Rich Paul rule. So Rich Paul, having LeBron James as his client, and then slowly but surely scooping up a lot of very prominent black players in the league. Then they instituted this rule that says, okay, no, you have to have a 4-year degree to be an agent. So that was specifically the Chris Paul rule to try to stop him from having the success that he was having. It was very shameful when they did it, and I still haven't forgiven them for that, but it's just one of those things. So Rich Paul was recently doing an interview, and they asked him with the New Yorker, and they asked him, about the inequality that black players in the NBA still receive, and about his journey as being one of the biggest. I think there's two, like Rich Paul and then Ben. I forget Ben's last name, but there's literally just two that are kind of the prominent black agents in the NBA. And so Rich Paul said, and I'm just going to quote him. He said, "It's very difficult for me to represent a white player." And he said, it just is. Look around. There's very few. I represent a player from Bosnia, but again, he's international. He looks at it different. So the guy from the New Yorker asked him, he's like, well, what is that supposed to mean? He said the white players will never say that, but they don't. I think there's always going to be that cloud over America. And I know that's going to bother people, but the fact of the matter is that it's a factual statement. I think, and I don't know if some of it is just overt racism. I think some of it is just, unspoken racism that a lot of people might not even know they have. I have an acquaintance that is white, and we used to get our nails done together. That's how we met, we used to walk to the same nail salon. And then I had stopped going to that nail salon, and then I saw her like a couple months later, and she's like, well, where are you getting your nails done? And I told her I had literally was driving like 20 miles out of my way to go to a black nail salon because I had found one. And this black nail salon, let me tell y'all, dope. When you would go in, they would immediately greet you with either rose water or cucumber water. You could get a mimosa. It was a whole like mini spa treatment. It was dope. So she asked if she could go with me one day. So she went. Now keep in mind, like I said, it's upper level treatment. They're giving you hand massages no matter what. You get a neck massage while they're doing your nails. It's like a spa. It's like a pamper day. That's why I started going there. So obviously the price was a little higher. So when it was time to pay, she was offended by the price. And then when we left, I was like, why is the price bothering you? She's like, well, it's a black nail salon. So in her mind, black meant it wasn't as good as something else. And so I had to check her on it. We had a conversation about it, and I think she learned about it. She learned from it, but she had to admit, she's like, I think I always just look at things like that. I always feel like when I go to anything that's black owned, that I just expect it to be cheaper because it needs to be cheaper if they want my business. Now, for her, it wasn't something that she realized until that moment in time. So I'm glad that moment in time happened. But I think that's the thing. And Shannon Sharp said it so eloquently. He said that a lot of people want a guy that they believe has had money in the past. That's why they go with these white agents, because they believe that this guy knows what he's doing, versus they look at a black agent, especially a Rich Paul, and he's new to the game. So they don't want to mess with him because they think, number one, he's never really had money in his life. Because when you think about black men in this country, unfortunately, as a whole, you don't think about money. You think about, oh, they came up or whatever, but you don't think that they are good with money, and you don't think they can do the same services, which is why his only white client is from Bosnia. So it's just this unspoken thing that I think that people, again, I don't feel like it's some intentional, oh, I don't want a black man to be my agent kind of thing. I don't think, or for some it might be. I'm not saying that that's not the case at all. For some people it might be, but I think it's just this hidden understanding of how black people in America are perceived as a whole. Black people in America are perceived as, oh, they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. They all came from the ghetto and they all had to work really hard to get out of the ghetto, when there's a lot of old money in the black community. It's just we don't talk about it a lot. So I think it's that hidden perception of who black people are in this country and what we've had to go through, that it always kind of has this in the back of your mind thing that you don't want to work with them because they don't know what they're doing, because they're new to it. And so I think Rich Paul is 100% correct on this. So what we're not going to do is pretend that he's not. And I think that's the worst thing you can do, to hear what he's saying and to just overlook it and say some sort of blanket statement like, oh, he's playing the race card or whatever. The race card is a real card because it's still a problem. Race in this country is still a problem. And I think when you address these sort of subconscious racism, then that's how we take step forwards. But you can't just overlook what he's saying and dismiss it because he's Rich Paul and he's saying something about race that might make you uncomfortable. You have to face these types of things head on. So that's all I got for that. Devin, what do you think about Rich Paul saying that it's difficult for him to work with? Not that he doesn't want to work with white players, but just that, they look at him different as an agent.
Well, I think that if the last year has taught us anything, more than the last year, but just because we've seen such an uptick in people discussing race and the issues that we have in this society, is that internalized racism is something that everybody struggles with, or not. I don't even want to say everybody struggles with, but in a way we all have our internalized perceptions of different people, different cultures, different races, and whether we realize it or not, it affects the decisions that we make. When it comes to Rich Paul, I find it very, very interesting that he is struggling to get white clients, because when you have somebody like LeBron James on your list of people, you would think that would be enough of a motivating factor to get everybody wanting to get into his circle of people. So I find it very surprising that even somebody like him is still dealing with this sort of internalized racism, or I think it is a surprise, but I think that he's absolutely right. And I think that it's something that plagues a lot of people in our society, and we need to do a better job of recognizing those stereotypes that we create, or that we even think of unknowingly, and change that, because we can't generalize people that way.
But as big as LeBron is, and as much money as that man has, he still fits the typical white thought process of what black men are. He's a kid from Akron. He's a kid that came from very hard times. One of the reasons why he's so adamant about education is because how hard it was for him. So it's one of those things where, yes, Rich Paul has LeBron James, but LeBron James he fills the slot of what white America thinks about black people. White America does not think that black people start at the same level as they do. As a whole, white America does not think that about us, and it's just a fact. So I see you guys in the chat asking if I checked her. Yeah, of course I checked her, but I tried to. And for those of you who are new here, that was a difficult moment for me because I'm not the type. I don't play those type of games. You say dumb stuff to me, and you get Malcolmina X. That's my nickname. That's who you get. So that was a moment for me though, because I could see in her face that she genuinely meant that. Like she genuinely thought that, you know, if I'm gonna drive all the way out here to go to this black business, that the very least they could do is have, you know, equal prices. And so I had to check her on that. We didn't hang out after that, but it was a learning moment for her. It was a moment for her to even say, she said it. That was the one thing that I was like, okay, I did the right thing by not snapping at her. She was like, you know, in my head, it didn't sound bad, but when I said it out loud, it's a very racist thought process. So she was able to check herself and then move on from that moment. And I'm not good at those moments. I'm not the type of person who I don't want to teach anybody nothing. If you don't know by now, I feel like then you just don't want to know. But in that moment, I was proud of myself because I felt like I taught this woman something, and I do feel like she learned from that experience. So, and she said she was going to go back, so it was a win-win because that's called Nail Bar. If y'all ever want to go there, it's in Inglewood.
Ooh, okay. I do need to find a good place to get my nails done. So I am for sure going to check that out. I like that. But yeah, Jackie, I think that kind of speaks. First of all, I think it's awesome that you were able to enlighten her. And I know that it can be extremely frustrating to encounter just complete ignorance. So I think that it was awesome that you were able to take that moment to enlighten her. Not that you need to do that every time. But I also think that it's just nor should any of us. I mean, I typically try to take the path of like, let me teach you something, let me educate you, but I don't think, you know me, that's just kind of how I operate. But I think that this just goes to show that people do have this internalized racism that they don't even realize they have a lot of times. And it takes a lot of self-reflection and introspection to be able to change that. And I think that we all need to take some time to consider that and change that. But let's wrap up this show for the day, you guys. We're going to be back again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So don't forget to tune in, subscribe, tap the bell, leave a comment below, and we'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.